He said, through prayer the saints are able to stop the fish from swimming in the sea and to make the earth tremble, so that people think it is an earthquake. He said, if the love of God in the hearts of his friends were made manifest, it would fill the world with flood and fire. He said, all that lives with God hath seen all things visible, and heard all things audible, and done all that is to be done, and known all that is to be known. He said, all things are contained in me, but there is no room for myself in me. He said, miracles are only the first of the 1,000 stages of the way to God. He said, do not seek until thou art sought, for when thou findest that which thou seekest, it will resemble thee. He said, thou must daily die 1,000 deaths and come to life again, that thou mayest win the life immortal. He said, when thou givest to God thy nothingness, he gives to thee his all. It would be an almost endless task to enumerate and exemplify the different classes of miracles which are related in the lives of the Muslim saints. For instance, walking on water, flying in the air with or without a passenger, rain making, appearing in various places at the same time, healing by the breath, bringing the dead to life, knowledge and prediction of future events, thought reading, telekinesis, paralyzing or beheading an obnoxious person by word or gesture, conversing with animals or plants, turning earth into gold or precious stones, producing food and drink, etc. To the Muslim who has no sense of natural law, all these violations of custom, as he calls them, seem equally credible. We, on the other hand, feel ourselves obliged to distinguish phenomena which we regard as irrational and impossible from those which we can find some sort of natural explanation. Modern theories of psychical influence, faith healing, telepathy, veridical hallucination, hypnotic suggestion, and the like have thrown open to us a wide avenue of approach to this dark continent in the Eastern mind. I will not, however, pursue the subject far at present, full of interest as it is. In the higher Sufi teaching, the miraculous powers of the saints play a more or less insignificant part, and the excessive importance which they assume in the organized mysticism of the dervish orders is one of the clearest marks of its degeneracy. The following passage, which I have slightly modified, gives a fair summary of the hypnotic process through which a dervish attains to union with God. The disciple must mystically always bear his murshid, spiritual director, in mind and become mentally absorbed in him through a constant meditation and contemplation of him. The teacher must be his shield against all evil thoughts. The spirit of the teacher follows him in all his efforts and accompanies him wherever he may be, quite as a guardian spirit. To such a degree is this carried that he sees the master in all men and in all things, just as a willing subject is under the influence of the magnetizer. This condition is called self-annihilation in the murshid or sheikh. The latter finds in his own visionary dreams the degree which the disciple has reached, and whether or not his spirit has become bound to his own. At this stage, the sheikh passes him over to the spiritual influence of the long-deceased pir or original founder of the order, and he sees the latter only by the spiritual aid of the sheikh. This is called self-annihilation in the pir. He now becomes so much a part of the pir as to possess all his spiritual powers. The third grade leads him, as through the spiritual aid of the sheikh, up to the prophet himself, whom he now sees in all things. This state is called self-annihilation in the prophet. The fourth degree leads him even to God. He becomes united with the deity and sees him in all things. J.P. Brown, The Dervishes or Oriental Spiritualism, 1868, page 298. An excellent concrete illustration of the process here described will be found in the well-known case of Tawakkul Beg, who passed through all these experiences under the control of Mullah Shah. His account is too long to quote in full. Moreover, it has recently been translated by Professor D.D. MacDonald in his Religious Life and Attitude in Islam, page 197. I copy from this version one paragraph describing the first 4 stages mentioned above. Thereupon, he made me sit before him, my senses being as though intoxicated, and ordered me to reproduce my own image within myself, and after having bandaged my eyes, he asked me to concentrate all my mental faculties on my heart. I obeyed, and in an instant, by the divine favor and by the spiritual assistance of the Sheikh, my heart opened. I saw then that there was something like an overturned cup within me. This having been set upright, a sensation of unbounded happiness filled my being. I said to the master, this cell where I am seated before you, I see a faithful reproduction of it within me, and it appears to me as though another Tawakkul Beg were seated before another Mullah Shah. He replied, very good, the first apparition which appears to thee is the image of the master. Then he ordered me to uncover my eyes, and I saw him with the physical organ of vision seated before me. He then made me bind my eyes again, and I perceived him with my spiritual sight, seated similarly before me. Full of astonishment, I cried out, O master, whether I look with my physical organs or with my spiritual sight, always it is you that I see. Here is a case of auto-hypnotism, witnessed and recorded by the poet Jami. Maulana Sa'duddin of Kashgar, after a little concentration of thought, Tawajjuh, used to exhibit signs of unconsciousness. Anyone ignorant of this circumstance would have fancied that he was falling asleep.